for me, at least in the early days, I didn't know any better when I like had a bad gig come across, and I took it
Mhm.
as I just was so desperate for any sort of attention and stage time that it was like, yeah, $50 to do a surprise birthday party in an Italian restaurant. That seems reasonable. Uh,
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
normal.
So I guess in your early days of comedy, did you have anything where looking back, you're like, what was I thinking?
Um, I mean, it's constant. It's more now than then because I think I get opportunities for more hell gigs now.
Okay.
It's there's so many, and now I'm just like they're all like flooding in. I'm like, which one do I choose? There was one I agreed to when I moved to the city, which was we all went out to Long Island, which I could end the story there,
Yeah,
to be
right.
honest.
And then
It was
that's
and we got there and we were expecting it to, be set up at all, but it was just a bar, and not a bar that you would ever look at and be like, there should be a performance here of some kind. Like a bar that's not shaped correctly for anything except for drinking and fights. And it was
it's like a
uh
bar they would build in like a movie to like film a bar fight. It's like we're just
yes.
gonna set
Yeah.
this up. Things are easily breakable. You know,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Bar, and then yeah, an alleyway for fights that leads out the door. And then we just kind of went, I don't know, in front of the bathrooms, maybe a pool table. There's always a pool table, and you're
Yeah,
like, why? Why? I
there's
think there
always
was a
a pool
pool
table. And
table
there's always people like shooting pool.
playing.
You have to like, yeah, like,
Yes.
hey, we're doing comedy.
Yeah, no one in this bar was there for the show.
Yeah,
So it was just like really mad, drunk Long Islanders who were just trying to get fucked up and be shitty people.
yeah.
And uh, I went up. It wasn't as bad. You just when you resolve yourself to the pain, you're like, fine, whatever. I can just say things for this one guy, and then everyone else will be talking over me, and I'm not going to try to stop that from happening. Um, it was fine. And then Jacob Williams went up, and he's great, right? And this was before he was like a seasoned wild and out battle rapper, So
Yeah.
there's this woman who just wouldn't, she just like started yelling at him, and she was so mean, and she's like, "You're not funny," that whole thing, so loud, and he's such a deadpan comedian, and he's such a nice guy. He was not gonna go after her. So I get so upset with her, and I just like start picking a fight with her in the back of the room. I'm like, I will fucking kill you. Do you want to, like, I will fuck you up, but you better shut the fuck. And I was just going on. So like, it's just me having this verbal battle with this woman in the back of the room. And she didn't fight me because we both stood up, and she was a tiny little drunk lady. But
Uh,
her mom was with her too and was like backing her up. We didn't know it was her mom at first. We're like, who is this lady? And she's like, my daughter's great. We're like, you're getting drunk as like a mother-daughter duo.
oh,
on it was like a Tuesday too. It wasn't even a regular. I was like taking off my fucking earrings, just like
oh, so you're
I
ready
like
to go.
gave my phone to somebody. I was ready to fight her outside, absolutely.
Oh my God. Dude, was this before or after your set?
After, yeah, that was,
That would have been great if you're like, all right,
I'm like, I will kill you.
yeah.
Anyway,
What's
isn't
the
it
hairline?
crazy when the
Yeah,
laundry and yeah.
yeah, right. Oh my God. So did Jacob acknowledge that you were gonna fight this woman while he was on stage?
No, he was just plowing through his set. He was just doing it. Didn't acknowledge anything happening. Just kept talking.
It's insane. Like, so those kind of shows, sometimes it can be like comics will contact the bar and be like, hey, we think you should do a comedy show. And sometimes bars will be like, we think we should have a comedy night. And
Yeah.
usually if it's the bar's idea, it's never good because they don't like know how to run comedy. Did you all like decide we're gonna do it, or did they contact you?
Uh, Definitely somebody who lived in Long Island brought me out there, and I don't remember who it was, but I think they knew the bar and had just drank there, and they were like, I'll have a thing here.
Oh,
In a twist, the girl who was yelling was either I think she worked there. I don't know if like her mom owned the bar, but she definitely worked there and just wasn't working at that moment.
So she had an off night. She was just
Yeah.
like, she just
Or
clocked.
or that was her at work. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it sounds, like the bar's not totally up to code.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could just be one of the employees. God, and then there's just the drive back. Like after that, you just have to
Yeah.
trudge back to the city. How was that?
Uh-huh. That's those are the best when everybody bombs a show and it's a hell gig. The bonding that goes on it's beautiful. Really felt united with them. We're all just like, that was a mistake. Even the guy who set it up was like, I'm really sorry, everyone. You got to go out for food after a hell gig if you're with people. That's like a rite of passage. You're just like, let's go get some hoagies
Yeah.
and talk shit.
You just talk. Yeah, it's nice when you have other people to commiserate with, because
Yes.
then you can all just blame everybody. You're just blaming
Yeah.
the audience. They're idiots. The venue
Yep.
sucks.
Yep.
It sucks when you're on your own. I mean,
Yes. Those are
I,
painful.
I guess my next question would be like, have you had those sort of long drives or long subway rides back after a bad show, and how do you get through it?
Oh, I don't get through it. I beat myself up really hard. That's the worst. By yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's mostly in the city too. I can't think of I feel like when I'm out on the road, I am with people all the time, even if it's, even if you have, I don't know. Yeah, the headliner and the host, uh if I'm featuring, that kind of thing. So there's always somebody to kind of commiserate with, but it sucks when you're the only one who bombed too, and you're just like, well, I'll just go
Right.
sit in this by myself. What did I do
Because
wrong?
everybody's like, the show was great. We had a great time. People were high fiving, and then you're just like, I don't.
I hide. Even if I do well after a show, I hide. I don't want to, I'll never have fans because I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, I just
It's
don't
such a
want to engage.
it's a weird like conversation to have after what they've just
Yeah,
witnessed.
yeah,
And they're like, Dave, funny.
yeah,
It's like, but
yeah,
like, do you even like get it? you know?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Sure, intimate details about my sexual life. And they're just like, hey, or they're like, you should do this. It was pretty funny. I'm like, kill yourself.
yeah. Do you ever get this, like if you're featuring or something, they'll come to you and they'll go, you should try to go last, and like, oh, I should headline. That's what I should do. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't even realize.
yeah. I'll be opening for somebody who just like recorded an album or a special. They're doing an hour of brand new material,
Yeah.
and then I'll go out there and do my hardest 20 that I've been working on for 10 years. Yeah, and they're like, what is this? You don't get it.
They're like, what? Have you ever tried SNL? You should see if they're
I
hiring.
love that one.
Yeah. It's like, I'll call. They never returned my emails yet. What do you think in the city in New York has been your wildest show, or worst show?
Worst show. There are the ones that stick. There's one that sticks with me because I didn't realize why I was bombing until I got off stage, and that is I was performing for my friend's family and for his friends. It's a big group of people, really fun. Everyone's killing. I get up, I do my set. I think I opened with somewhere early in the set. I talked about how my sister is anti-circumcision and how funny that is and how funny the cause is. But I did make it clear that I was like, it is weird that we just chop off the tips of babies' dicks. Is probably what I said exactly. And I ate shit. Complete silence for 15 minutes. Complete silence. And then and then like 5 minutes after set, I was like, they were all Jewish. This was a Jewish family and his Jewish friends, and that is why I ate shit.
Oh my God.
Because circumcision is
They're
part
all
of
posed
that.
like man, she could have said anything else. It's like the one thing that, oh
Yeah.
Christ. Did someone tell you, or did it just dawn on you and you were like, that's
It
why?
it it dawned on me.
Wow.
But I was like in the back of the room, like, these fucking assholes. Why did they hate me? Like, what did I do wrong? Everyone else is doing the same kind of material. My material's not behind anybody else's. And then, yeah, and I was just like, oh, son of a bitch.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
horrendous. What's your like post bomb coping mechanism? I feel like comics have like 5 different people they'll call or like
Yeah.
a place they're gonna eat. But what is yours, if you don't mind me asking?
Ooh. Like a really, really horrible, horrible bomb. I would go to Greg Stone. This guy is, oh, what a great person. And he could really talk anyone off a ledge. He's just a gem of a human being. Um, Anything below that, I do have some rituals. I do this also if I do well, though. Sometimes I'm like, I should get KFC biscuits if I did well too. So I get KFC biscuits. Uh, Chocolate cake with chocolate frosting is a big one. Um, Mostly just rant about it to my boyfriend Sam Evans. So he bears the brunt of a lot of my psychological distress, but he gets it
Yeah,
also. So that's really nice. It's not like a therapist who's like, what is, doesn't quite understand the nuances of it. Yeah.
that's the biscuits is a great coping mechanism or treat. I mean, no matter what happens, at least you're like, well, this is either gonna go great or horrible, but no matter what, I'm gonna have KFC biscuits.
KFC biscuits.
It's nice to have a comic to talk to, and obviously you can relate with Sam and other people, I'm sure. But have you ever tried, like, I'm sure you have, that you try to explain like a bad show to someone that doesn't do comedy, and you just get more upset by because they don't get it, and
Yes.
you're like, but what do you said it was fine. It's like, well, it wasn't fun,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but did you have fun? It's like, cool.
No, not for even a second. I get that with my mom sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, Luckily, she does usually come around if I can explain to her why it so incenses me sometimes when she, I was just complaining about a show that I bombed, and she's just like, well, have you tried like not saying the darker stuff? Like maybe don't do your dark jokes. People don't like them. If people don't like them, then don't do them. And I was like, oh my God.
Hey, really good advice. Yeah, it's like, it's you never want to hear from someone that isn't a comedian that like you're the problem.
Mhm,
Unless someone
mhm,
really knows, it's like, hey, I'm good. I'm okay.
mhm.
Just
Yeah.
say, just comfort me.
Yeah. It's like she's seen those same jokes kill, but
Right.
she'll still be in the state of like, well, if they didn't like it, then it must have been really bad. Like she's in the audience, and if I don't do well according to the audience, then she just doesn't think I'm good at comedy. I think that's a lot I think that is true of family members and friends who are really close to you
Yeah.
that aren't comedians. I think that's because they don't, in that moment they're a projection of you and vice versa, so they feel personally responsible for both if you do really well and if you do really bad.
Yeah. It's almost like when you do bad in front of your friends and family, I feel like I have to tell them like recently when I did well. It's like, but
Yeah.
I know this seems bad, but I promise this is not a waste of my time.
Yeah.
It's like, please don't make all your decisions off this. I know for me there's been a couple, but you know, some people have just horrible shows, and like I'd have to think they just don't recover from it. And have you had any shows that were so bad where you were like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this anymore, where you're like on the edge to break and you don't and you plow through?
um Before coronavirus hit, I would say that happened once or twice a week. um I don't know how serious, like I am like hyperbolic too, where I'll be like, I'm fucking quitting. Like I shouldn't be doing this. But I think deep down, I know that that's just like a fun narrative that I keep going because it is the most extreme, and it purges the hate that's in my head for how awful it felt to bomb. Uh, but it feels real, you know. Twice a week, I'm just like, this, what am I doing? Even if sometimes it hurts less when you don't bomb, but you just do okay, you know. I would rather sometimes have a full bomb than to just get up and have people be indifferent, polite. They're laughing, but the laughs don't feel, there's no connection there.
Yeah, because at least with a bomb, it's like, well, I know what went wrong, you know? And
Yeah,
with that other thing, you're like, hey, what's happening? You know,
yeah.
like, am I missing something here? It's so odd. I
Hmm.
I don't, I guess so. When you have those moments of like, all right, I'm done, I'm quitting. Is it short lived? I mean, if it's a couple times a week, I guess it comes and goes pretty fast.
Yeah,
Or do you kind of
it can be in the same night.
yeah.
You ever have that where you have one show that's so bad you're like, I'm quitting, and then you do the other show and you're like, this is the best thing in the world. I love this so much. It's a matter
Yeah.
of 30 minutes. They're 30 minutes apart.
I love that version of it, but I hate the reverse where you start
Yes.
great and then you're like, I think I'm gonna try to get one more set in. And you're like, I've made calls after a good show, be like, can I get on stage? And
Yeah.
it's like, sure, I guess if you want to do a couple minutes, and then it bombs, and you're like, what was I thinking? Like, such a fraud.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the fraud. Yeah.
It's an unsettling moment.
Hmm.
I I think the comedy, like people say, like the comedy gods and like comedy justice will like always bring you back. Like
Yeah.
I guess I'm sure you've had like the run of like great shows where like things are going
Yeah.
so well, and then out of nowhere you get
Yep.
that like left hook.
Yeah. You're like, I think I finally figured it out. I think I got it now, and this is gonna be it forever. And then,
Yeah, right.
boom.
You're like,
Oh, those shows are the
why am I not
worst.
famous?
They
Yeah,
hit you like a ton of bricks, especially the longer the run is, where you're like, I've gone like a week and a half with just straight killing, and then you do that set again for a different group of people, and it's crickets, and you're like, I should probably kill myself. That's what I should do after
yeah.
this show.
You're like, I just don't even. I think my life's a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything I've known is
Hmm.
false.
Yep.
With there's so many things that I think people don't get about comedy. About like, it's not just at comedy clubs, like you said. Like you're doing a show at a bar in Long Island, and it's not always
Hmm.
perfect. What do you think the strangest venue you've ever performed in?
um I've done outdoors in a tent
Oh my
for
god!
children. Oh my god, how did I forget about this one? Oh my god, it was so bad. But I thought I was like, I'm open to new experiences. I was pretty new to comedy, maybe 3 years in. I was like, I'm gonna embrace even the bad gigs. I knew it was gonna be a bad gig. Tent, like noon, children, little children, and I was like, I'll just do cute stuff. I've done shows for kids before that have gone fine. Don't want to do them. Have said no to most of them.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah, first one, and I'm like, what did I do? I think I read from my childhood diary from like when I was 6 years old, and they were like, Lena, but yeah, that sounds correct. Sounds like you spelled that word right. And I was like, no, I'm stupid. And it was going so badly that I made it into an open mic for the children, which is always a good idea. So they're getting up and telling jokes that they've heard. And then the gig ended, or my set and the gig, the whole thing shut down after my thing because they were doing an air show and it flew over, and the kids were all like, planes, and ran out of the tent. And that was it. That was the end of it.
There's so much to unpack. I'm worried that it's come too late. I can't even believe. So how did this even happen? How did you even, get a gig at a tent outside for kids?
Another comic was part of it. Was some sort of outdoor festival in Burlington, Vermont. It's on the waterfront. I don't remember what it was, but one of those things where it's like during the day, it's a bunch of kids activities.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is what it is. Do you want to, I would love for you to come do it. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. And afterwards he was like, mistake. Got it.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
so how long were you supposed to do, and how long into that time until you turned it into an open mic?
I don't remember how much time. I want to say it was I want to say it was like long
Yeah.
because, and I was like, I gotta fill the time, which no, you don't. Um, I don't, I don't know. It feels like it lasted forever. It's one of those where you're like, I don't know, I have no sense of. I probably did 4 minutes before I turned it into an open mic for kids.
Holy cow.
And then it was probably another 4 minutes of them doing that before the planes started doing tricks in the sky. Thank God for. I was so grateful for that air show that I was just like, oh, thank you.
And I would say
Oh,
most times if there's an air show during a comedy show, it's not great.
yeah,
But that is really the only time you'd want it. Uh,
one time.
that's insane. So then that ends, and then what do you just have to like hang out, or do you walk through the crowd to leave, or like because now you've just the kids are all watching the planes, you just sort of sneak out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think there were other comics who were supposed to go on after me too, and we are all just like, let's go, let's get out
Let's
of
all
here.
just leave. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like they won't even know we were here.
Yeah.
They'll forget so quickly. Good
The
lord.
parents weren't laughing. It's one of those where it's like it's not funny to parents either. Like it's funny for no one. The kids can't. I'm not. If I were a clown and I was doing fun tricks, there's a way to do quote unquote stand up comedy for kids, and yeah, none of us were at all prepared for that.
Yeah, especially like that 3 years in confidence of like I can do this.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can. I'll fill the time, whatever you need.
yep.
Um, you know,
20 minutes. Fuck it. I think it was something crazy. Like, I want to say it was like 20 minutes that he asked from each person.
my God, that's a long time to have kids. I've done a few like Sunday shows where it's like kids, like
Uh-huh.
all ages, and
The ones at the creek.
God, it's brutal. It's just
Yeah, those are. I used to work there, and I would walk upstairs to give somebody like a drink or their food. And one time I walked up, and there were 5 kids physically pulling a man on stage down onto the ground and like beating him up. I mean, everyone was laughing at that. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And he
yeah.
wasn't getting seriously injured, but he was just like he was holding the mic and he's like, "Help! Get him off me!" And they're just
Was it not part of the bit?
I don't I don't know. It was funny though. It was funny.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's the only thing you can do. I'll never forget. I worked with Taylor Williamson, and he does a Sunday show with like 12 and up because all his fans were from America's Got Talent. And
Mhm.
I was hosting at the time, and he said, keep it clean. And the feature went up and opened with an anal sex joke. And
Oh no.
there's like children, you know, and just everything you could feel the room just like shut off, because that's how you open. He's 20 minutes. Like, where do we?
That's the back of the room. Oh my god, the comics. If there were comics in the back, were they losing their shit? That's
It
so.
was just me and Taylor Williamson in the green room, and I'll tell you, Taylor Williamson not happy, not thrilled. I was like, I mean, I was pretty young in comedy, new, and
Mhm.
I was just shocked that like you were allowed to like break the rules. Like
Yep.
someone's like, you have to say this. It's like, well, I guess I say that.
Yep.
And then when someone didn't, it was like when you're a kid and you see someone swear for the first time. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I didn't even know it was allowed. Like
Oh
the
my
kids
god.
thing, it is just the worst because it's like being judged by children. You feel like you're being bullied. You know, it's
I felt bullied by babies before. They're just like looking like a 2-year-old too. They're just looking at you like, what are you? Oh god, I did stand up for literal babies and their moms. Because you can do whatever you want at a baby show because the babies don't understand,
right.
which is nice, but they are crawling everywhere and crying and you're like, is this about me? Like sometimes you get on stage and they all immediately start crying and you're like, what did I do? Oh
Yeah,
no.
it's hard to have a room full of babies, I guess, deny you,
Mhm.
but let me ask you this before we wrap up here. One question is going to be a little cliche before we do that. What do you think, especially if you like comics in New York have great answers to this, like, what do you think the farthest you have traveled for the least amount of money is?
I've broken even traveling
Yeah.
to, where was I? I want to say I was on like the West Coast, just doing like a run of things
Yeah.
somewhere. I know that I've done trips where I've broken even, but I can't remember where they are specifically. Maybe like, no, I made like $50 net to, I keep track of it very closely. This was like last year. I think I went to Michigan for like a net of like 100 or less when all was said and done, because it was just so many Ubers and, plane. Yeah. Like the eighth time I did comedy, I got $500 to bomb, obviously.
Yeah.
But I thought, I was like, this is it. This is what you do. And I haven't made that amount since. It was,
It's pretty unheard of.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God,
yeah.
that's incredible.
I mean, I have made that amount since, but only like twice, I think, like literally 2 times. I've traveled, yeah, to the West Coast. You'll do like some of the, I've been featuring for a couple of people, and it's, I'll get like 500 or 600 is the most a club will, yeah, well, a club will, like the best clubs in the country will pay for you to do about 6 sets, sometimes 5, but usually 6. They don't pay for anything. You're getting your own airfare across the country,
Right.
maybe a month in advance.
Yeah, it's never appropriate to get cheap tickets. It's like
No.
you be in Tampa on Tuesday. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, I guess so.
Yeah.
God, it is that's some, I don't miss that right now. That last trip.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. My self-esteem has been a little bit better in quarantine than it was doing constant sets for no money, for sure.
isn't that really telling, of the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
that we've chosen when the global pandemic is more calming to the nerves.
Yeah. Yep.
Everyone's like, comedians are doing fine. Yeah, this is nice.
Uh-huh.
We don't
Uh-huh.
have to worry about being somewhere at 11:37 p.m. to try to run into the manager accidentally. It's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
you're here. Let me ask you before we get out of here. It's such a cliche thing, but I have to ask. Like, so all those bombs, all those horrible gigs, the bar, the babies, the kids, you know, now going into shows, how do you, if it's a bad show, and you can see it's a bad show, what do you tell yourself? Like, do you feel like that you've learned how to handle it better, and how do you think you've learned to handle
Ooh, no, that's a good question. I think it's ongoing. I'll think that I can handle a bomb sometimes and I can't, but it's rarer and rarer. Those incidences occur less and less. It'll be maybe, I think I'm down to like once a year where I will turn on the crowd and just be like, this is your fault. You're bad and stupid people. Like, I'll just literally say that. I'm like, you're stupid. You're like privileged. I hate you. Just who, you know? And then the next person's like, thanks
it? Yeah.
for ruining the whole thing.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
your first comment coming up.
Oh yeah, when you're the host and that happens.
Pack the crowd.
Woo. So yeah, I'll maybe do that once or twice a year where I'll turn on the audience. But otherwise, I have gotten a lot better at it. You got it. Sometimes you just have to take the L. Just do the jokes for the smattering of laughter. That's more when I'm getting paid too, especially because I want to behave. I want to come back.
Yeah.
So you just kind of do it and hope they don't know that you didn't kill. And usually they don't. They're just like, great, that's what this is. And you're like, yeah. A room full of old people who smiled once that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
I've been getting better at reading rooms too. What jokes I should do, where and when. Obviously.
right.
But sometimes you're just like, there's no winning in this room, and that's fine. But then I'll say that, and then somebody will get on and set it on fire, just destroy. And you're like, well, I guess that's what you got it. But not everybody's gonna like everything or me.
Yeah.
That's been such a hard thing where I'm like, I can win everybody over. No, you can win a very small percentage of like the United States over, and just kind of find those people.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll be much happier. It's
Yeah.
like, instead of trying to play to everybody, play to like the few people that like you because they want to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, like, yeah, I could definitely make this room full of like, board executives laugh at a Christmas party. This seems
Uh-huh.
my demographic. Uh, All right. Well, Carmen, before we get out of here, please tell people where they can find you, where they can hear you, where they can see you. Plug it all. Plug everything you've got.
Sure. Oh gosh. At Carmstagrams on Instagram. I'm at Carmen Lagala on Twitter. CarmenLagala.com on the internet. Last name is Lagala. Um, I know. I'm like, there's nothing coming up. Even the stuff on the calendar, I'm like, that might be canceled. But yeah, I'm around. I'm around.
You're regular. When New York City comes back, you'll be there.
Yeah,
That's where people.
yeah. New York Comedy Club, great club.
Yeah.
Comedians You Should Know. I just got added as a host there, so that's every Wednesday at the Gutter at 9 p.m. It's great, great show.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this, Carmen. I really appreciate your time and doing this. So thank you again. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks, Colin. This is really fun.